Fani Willis in the courtroom earlier today during some testimony with Judge McAfee. You had Ashleigh, DA, you had an attorney for one of the co-defendants, Ashleigh Merchant, who Ashleigh Merchant is representing. She was actually on the within the realm of the trial, but she was actually on a Zoom call. So Ashleigh Merchant didn't actually have to physically be in the courtroom today, but Fani Willis was physically there. She didn't really say much today, but this was all related to Donald Trump's Georgia election interference case. And what a lot of people forget is how important this case is. This case could literally send Donald Trump off to jail. But the crux of the matter is that this case shouldn't even exist. So, and this is the argument that Steve Sado, Donald Trump's lead attorney on this particular Georgia election interference case, is bringing to the point here. And what I was really surprised in what actually came out today was that even Democrats are telling Fani Willis to stand down. You're embarrassing us. Fani Willis, you're making us look bad. Just keep quiet. Let's get through this case and let's just see what happens. So Fani Willis ended up getting kind of scolded earlier today, but we're gonna talk more about that a little bit later on. But I want you to hear just a little bit of the initial. This was some of the testimony from Donald Trump's lawyer, Steve Sado. Take a listen, and then I want you to hear from Ashleigh Merchant, because she dropped some bombshell information today, and it really kind of stunned everyone. Take a listen.
Even where there is wide scholarly, this is 752, even where there is a wide scholarly consensus concerning a particular matter, the truth is served by allowing that consensus to be challenged without fear of reprisal. Today's accepted wisdom sometimes turns out to be mistaken. And in these contexts, even a false statement may be deemed to make a valuable contribution to public debate, since it brings about the clear perception and livelier impression of truth produced by its collision with error, citing U.S. Supreme Court. That's the essence of what we have right here. That's the facts that have been alleged. Essentially, the state's position is, because, as alleged, what President Trump said speech-wise or expressed either through his speech or conduct, which is still freedom of expression, because that's false in the eyes of the state, it's lost all protections of the First Amendment. And the concurring opinion and the dissenting opinion in Alvarez suggests just the opposite. If anything, under the circumstances, it needs more protection, not less protection. So keeping that.
So basically, in a nutshell, what Steve Sado's argument is that the First Amendment protects what Donald Trump said during his speech. And in summary, most, if not all, of the arguments being brought by Fani Willis are effectively null and void as a result of the First Amendment and the context of which Donald Trump was speaking. Now, basically, this whole election interference case involving Donald Trump in Georgia, they were ultimately discussed in court to consider motions from both sides today. All right. So we had District Attorney Fani Willis. She responded to the Republicans who sought information about her use of federal funds. That was also a topic today. So again, we talked about this before. This case is more about Fani Willis lately than it is about Donald Trump. Many people are calling for, and you guys comment down below, many people are calling for the judge, not just Fani Willis, to be disqualified, but they're actually calling for the judge to recuse himself for his prior business relationship with Fani Willis, because there could be a perspective of a conflict of interest just due to the fact that Fani Willis used to be the judge's boss. So just think about how that relationship could impact the decisions that the judge presiding over the case would make. But again, District Attorney, Fani Willis, she responded to Republicans who were looking for information about the use or misuse about federal funds, or at least the alleged misuse. But Fani Willis also stated that their actions would not impede her team's efforts to, bring the election interference prosecution to trial, ultimately allowing a Fulton County jury to decide the defendant's guilt or innocence. Right, but there was also the suggestion to remove Fani Willis from the case. And this also involves the co-defendants, one of whom she represents. Now, Ashleigh Merchant, she was interviewed this morning just before the court was actually in session. And so Ashleigh Merchant, she didn't have to actually physically attend the court being in session. She could attend remotely through the Zoom call. And actually a couple of the other people who were supposed to be in court were showing up to the Zoom call. But again, Fani Willis, she was in person. But Ashleigh Merchant, she noted that 2 motions were to be heard. One to dismiss based on the First Amendment's grounds, which Steve Sadow just dropped the hammer down in his arguments today. But I want Ashleigh Merchant to share a little bit of insight this morning. So take a listen. This is directly from Ashleigh Merchant here. Oh, by the way, guys, I just want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me on this live. Definitely hit the like button if you haven't already. And I want to thank you guys so much for always sharing these videos on Facebook and Twitter. So anyway, listen to Ashleigh Merchant on this one. This is just before the trial began this morning.
Meanwhile, DA Fani Willis firing back at Republicans seeking info about her use of federal funds, saying, quote, "Nothing you do will derail the efforts of my staff and I to bring election interference prosecution to trial so that a jury of Fulton County citizens can determine the guilt or innocence of the defendants."
Our next guest initiated the push to remove Willis from this case against Trump and his co-defendants, and one of whom she represents.
All right, joining us back with us again, Attorney Ashleigh Merchant. Ashleigh, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Does this require you be in court today?
Yes, but luckily our judge has embraced Zoom, so a lot of us can appear by Zoom, which really helps things a lot. So I'm not primarily arguing, so I'll be on Zoom.
Arguing for what? What are you looking to do today?
Yeah, so there's 2 motions that are going to be heard today. The first one is a motion to dismiss based on First Amendment grounds. And that motion so Donald Trump's lawyer is arguing that, Steve Sadow, and he's going to be arguing that the First Amendment should prohibit this prosecution. And it's really a couple different First Amendment issues that we've got. We've got the freedom to associate, the freedom to petition the government, the freedom to speak. So all of this conduct that's part of this indictment is really covered by the First Amendment. And if you think about it, it makes sense that a judge should be the one that protects that right, because you shouldn't have to go in front of a jury to protect your constitutional rights. So that's the first one we're going to hear. But then the second one is called a demurrer. And in Georgia, a demurrer is really a motion to dismiss. And what we're trying to do is argue in that.
And here's the other thing, like, why isn't the judge stepping in saying, why isn't Judge McAfee stepping in saying, hey, you're trampling all over Donald Trump's First Amendment right? Like, why do we? This is ABC stuff. Donald Trump shouldn't need his lawyers to be making a case on how the First Amendment applies to him. It's a First Amendment right, period, and point blank.
That's Mr. Schaefer's motion. He's primarily arguing that. And he was the Georgia GOP leader at the time and also one of the alternate electors. So when you look at the indictment, you see a lot of language that says fake electors, things like that, duly elected, fraudulent. And those are legal conclusions. And so we're trying to have those dismissed, saying that the state can't just put those legal conclusions in there. That's something that a jury has to decide.
Counselor, I'm curious, and obviously...
What do you guys think about this? Like, this is unbelievable. And then, some people are saying, why doesn't the judge have a little bit of backbone? Why doesn't the judge just kind of step in and literally just dismiss the case himself? Why does the judge put the ball in the court of Donald Trump's and the co-defendants, essentially put the ball in the court of Donald Trump and Donald Trump's co-defendants to effectively file their own appeal, which is ultimately like a 2-step process in Georgia. They have to appeal, the judge has to approve it, then it goes to another step. I think it's actually an appeals court to actually get a legitimate, like, full-fledged appeal. Like, why doesn't the judge just make that call himself. I think that he would have a lot more credibility if he just kind of like, had a little bit of backbone here, made a call that was maybe not necessarily the most popular among his friends and colleagues, but you got to save face here. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, we saw it for our screen, and our viewers saw what happened in the courtroom with Fani Willis. The case was laid out. They lied under oath. But my question is, why not keep them on the case? They've been very sloppy with their filings, out of control. From a legal standpoint, it would seem like they're easy to beat.
Well, and that was kind of one of the discussions you have to talk about when you're determining whether or not to file one of these motions. We truly don't believe that someone else, if we had a neutral, a detached person, someone who didn't have an actual financial interest, that they would bring these charges, particularly against my client. The thing that's important, I think, to always remember is my client was not recommended for indictment by the special purpose grand jury. So, this indictment was unnecessarily expanded. And I think if we had someone who's neutral and they went back and looked at it, they may not bring this indictment.
That's interesting.
The country got to know you and what I consider to be Fulton County's finest on display with.
What I think is so funny is how impactful Ashleigh Merchant has been. I mean, number one, she kind of like blew this case wide open when she called out Fanny Willis's, relationship with Nathan Wade a couple months ago. That literally sidetracked this whole case. So that was a phenomenal discovery that she brought to testimony. Because that was honestly, in my opinion, that was like one of the most key pivotal moments for Donald Trump, the Donald Trump Georgia election case when that happened, because that immediately took the spotlight off of Donald Trump and it literally, she brought a big mirror and reflected that spotlight right back to Fanny Willis. And Fanny Willis has been under a microscope ever since. And now she's being looked at for lying, for, potentially perjuring herself. I mean, even the judge came out and said, even though I'm going to let one of you guys stay on the case, which effectively he knew that Fanny Willis was going to, Judge McAfee knew that Fanny Willis would choose herself to stay on the case. Like, there's no way Fanny Willis would back down and let Nathan Wade try to carry the case on his own. So, of course, he knew by giving them the the decision to, quote unquote, split the baby, as we keep hearing, he knew that Fanny Willis would choose to have Nathan Wade recuse himself, back out, and immediately hand in his resignation, which he did. But it's just unbelievable, like, what is taking place here. Now, I do want to kind of interrupt myself for one quick second. Big, huge shout out to Bruce Rice. Thank you so much for the huge $10 super chat. I really appreciate you guys. And I want to just thank so much. I just want to thank all of you guys, really, for the support here on the channel. You guys are just unbelievable. So Ashleigh Merchant, she actually discussed the immense stress that Donald Trump is under. And this is what I've been talking about. A lot of people forget how much stress Donald Trump is under. My man is like under, he's battling 4 different cases right now and still managing multiple business operations. He's got his Truth Social debut, or I don't know if I can really call it a debut, but it's his Truth Social debut as a publicly traded company. So that is a massive move. It's now available on the NASDAQ, and the stock has actually been doing phenomenally well. So for all of those, it's not everyone, but for your Letitia Jameses of the world, for the Judge Arthur Engerons of the world who are saying like Donald Trump is a crooked guy, I mean, you can't really necessarily list a publicly traded company in this day and age without being, an upstanding business. That's all I'm saying. And then for investors to want to jump in and, buy up shares and whatnot, this is definitely not legal advice, but I'm looking at this objectively. And from my own personal opinion, why would so many people want to jump in and buy up all these shares if they didn't trust Donald Trump, knowing that Donald Trump he owns like 58% of the company, right? And so anyway, but again, this goes back to the amount of pressure that's on Donald Trump's plate. I mean, comment down below. Does anybody think? And then Donald Trump actually spoke today after he was up in New York City. He actually spoke right after there was a ceremony for a NYPD fallen officer. I don't know if you guys caught what Donald Trump had said about that, but certainly a touching moment. You know, the scary thing about police officers is that's between police officers and firefighters. When they go to work, when they kiss their spouse on the way out the door, they don't know if they're going to come home. And unfortunately, this is one of those instances. But Donald Trump spoke on that. But I'm just thinking about all of the different things that that Trump's faced with right now. You can't tell me this ain't election interference. If this is if 4 cases in a year brought to you by the DOJ is in your eyes election interference, comment down below election interference. I mean, I don't know anyone else going through this. We definitely don't know anyone else going through this. I can't think of anyone else historically who has been through this other than Donald Trump. This is unprecedented, guys. So yeah, so Donald Trump's easily under a crap load of stress to the extent that do you think Brandon or Joe Biden could handle this? I don't know if he could necessarily make it up a flight of stairs on Air Force One and hold a conversation at the same time, much less battle 4 major cases. Some of these cases could land Donald Trump in prison. So just think about the mental payload required to manage this level of stress, the physical demands of needing to be all these different places. I mean, like all of his cases they're not even in the same state. And so, and on top of that, business operations need to continue to be managed from all of his different companies. So this is a lot. Do you think that President Biden could handle the management of all of that all at one time? I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below, because the argument has come up that they're both old. Well, yeah, they are both old. But one of them is definitely older. I think Joe Biden's 81 and Donald Trump's 77. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's like one of them is clearly sharper than the other. So y'all let me know what you think in the comment section down below. But again, you know, Trump's under a tremendous amount of stress due to the trial, you know, the broader efforts to prevent people from voting for him. And, you know, this is amidst the efforts of people trying to prevent other people from voting for him in the upcoming election. I mean, like, so basically, despite his high stakes situation, Trump's pretty much managing to fulfill his campaign obligations in spite of all of the headwinds that they're putting in his way. Not to mention this gag order, this, you know, on the hush money case that's about to start in about a week and 2.5 weeks up in New York. You know, the discussion highlighted just think about the psychological toll that this person is under, that Donald Trump is under. They're trying to harm Trump, but I feel like in their process, in their efforts to harm him, they actually help him, because for anyone who's paying attention, and you guys are some of the sharpest people I've seen, our audience here, and I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your input. I'm trying to look at some of your comments here. I see some of you guys, Bill Tweedy, hey, what's going on? Gene Reinhardt, Kenneth Wood, Zully G, Christy Leesman. So I'm so glad you guys are hanging out with me today. But what I'm saying here is that they're trying to put all these different speed bumps out in Trump's way. But for anyone who's paying attention, and like I said, you guys are some of the sharpest people that I encounter on a regular basis. You guys are seeing this. You're seeing a person who is remaining sharp, who's staying on top of everything, who is strategically battling all of the injustice and corruption out here and not backing down and not quitting. Like, this is almost creating a, whoa, Bruce Rice, what are you doing, man? Thank you so much. Bruce Rice just gifted 5 Ron Yates memberships. You are just absolutely amazing, my friend. My brother, man. So anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But I mean, like this, like, I feel like Joe Biden and the DOJ's plan is literally backfiring in their face right now, because what they've done is they tried to wipe him out financially with multiple trials, but they tried to wipe him out financially with the New York trial, with the $355 million lawsuit, which ballooned into like $500 million once you add in all the other fees, the retroactive interest payments of $112,000 a day. I mean, it's ridiculous, to the point where bond companies wouldn't even support him, right? Or not that they wouldn't support him. Bond companies couldn't write the check to cover the bond that the judge demanded. So again, here's another constitutional amendment violation, amendment number 8. So they're just like, you know what? I think they're just like, you know what? Screw the whole Constitution. Just, get rid of that. We don't need a Constitution. It's just unbelievable, right? So for those of you guys who aren't aware of it, the 8th Amendment basically says, you can't punish people with unusual punishments. You can't penalize individuals with a $200,000 speeding ticket when they were driving 20 miles over the limit. That would be excessive. That would be unusual. And those are 2 of the 3 key points on the 8th Amendment. You can't be excessive with the punishment, and you can't be unusual. Well, this has never happened before. So anything unprecedented is all of a sudden unusual, right? Anyway, but it's just unbelievable. But the complexity of Trump's situation right now, I mean, on top of everything, it's just really exacerbated by the need to navigate all these different legal challenges across different jurisdictions. I mean, and just kind of this often requires the presence of being in more than one place at the same time. And this is why some of the judges have to coordinate with the other judges. Hey, we got Donald Trump on this date, but we're also trying to get Donald Trump on this date as well. All right, we're going to have to make some negotiations because he can't be in 2 places at once. It's just unbelievable, right? So the logistical and emotional stress compounded by the serious legal implications of his case. I mean, on the one hand, he could go, on the one hand, he could be wiped out of $500 million. On the other hand, he can go to jail. You want to talk about some stress? That'll keep you up at night. So for anyone who can battle all that and still be walking away with wins in different Republican primary debates, and I mean, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I probably would have cracked a long time ago. So anyway, the conversation, it just kind of goes on regarding the investigations that are now picking up on Fani Willis. Fani Willis is out in the spotlight now, and she doesn't like it. She's upset. Matter of fact, not only does she not like it, Democrats don't like Fani Willis being so vocal. They actually want her to kind of shut up. Take a listen to what Democratic strategist Karen Finney is saying about Fani Willis. She's basically like, I wish she would just kind of be quiet and just focus on doing her job. Have a listen.
Happen. And I actually think with someone like Donald Trump, we need that. That being said, Fani Willis, I think, has already made herself a character in this saga. She's got to bring it down and stay focused on doing the job.
Bring it down. Stay focused. Get out of the spotlight. What are you doing? I mean, there's just way too much heat on her. This is going in the wrong direction for her. This is backfiring. But let's hear back from Ashleigh Merchant, because she dropped some additional information that you're gonna want to hear.
Having Fani Willis on the stand and all the attitude that came from it, and then we get this decision that kind of, as people have said, split the baby. But the judge did grant the opportunity to appeal. And so what does the appeal look like? Is there something specific that you all feel like you can appeal and get her off the case?
Oh, yeah, I think we have some really strong issues on appeal. So our appeal is going to focus on the factual findings that the judge already made. And if you look at that order, you can tell he made some really strong factual findings that support a conflict. So we're going to be arguing that his decision actually should have gone farther and it should have actually disqualified her, because he gave us all the factual findings we need. We just now need a court to say that's too much, that's enough, she's got to be disqualified. And if that happens, then we'll get a neutral prosecutor to be able to go and review this and decide whether or not they're even going to bring these charges again.
And that's the thing. If there was a neutral prosecutor, we may not even have a case. We may not have a trial. So one of the things that they were considering is, okay, Fanny Willis appears to be quite sloppy. So number one, you could probably beat a sloppy attorney who has proven herself to kind of be all over the place, be a little bit unprofessional, potentially perjure herself. So, I mean, when you say that if you're a prosecuting attorney and your argument to, well, I didn't go on luxury vacations with Nathan Wade, and not having, and I didn't go on these luxury vacations with Nathan Wade without having paid him back. When you make a statement like that, you have to know that the defending attorney is going to come back and say, okay, well, that's great. Prove that you've been paid back, or prove that you paid him back. Like, that's kind of a sloppy argument, that you would even say something like that, not thinking, oh, they're probably going to ask for proof. So you need to be, so you would think that a really good attorney would have thought, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead, but clearly she didn't. And she kind of put her foot in her mouth when she did that. But anyway, guys, what do you guys think about all this? Hit me up in the comment section down below. Hit the like button. We got like, 1,700 people in this live. If y'all could show your boy some love, hit the like button. Let's get this thing over 1,000 at least. It's totally free. If you guys like the content, definitely make sure your notification bell is turned on. I see a lot of you guys. It is not my fault, guys. Don't get mad at me, please. A lot of you guys saying, hey, I didn't get the notification that this live was even taking place. So make sure your notification bell is turned on, and make sure it's set to all. Because if it's not set to all, you'll miss out. Like a lot of people are getting missed out. So, and maybe I need to start like a newsletter, or let me know if you guys would be interested in a newsletter. And I can basically kind of like send you some information about upcoming lives, stories that we're going to be covering. Let me know if that is something that you guys would like to be interested, or would be interested in joining, because that is something that I've been thinking about doing for you guys. Yeah, so we got Bermuda Guy, we got Deborah Duffin. Deborah Duffin says, yeah, I did bookkeeping in my younger years, and I know receipts are a must. Oh yeah, if you've ever dealt with the IRS, if you run a business or anything like that, you best have your receipts. And if you're an attorney, like, you can't make a claim if you don't have a way of proving it, because your word, unless you're best friends with a judge, is generally going to need to be validated to some extent. Gino 2018, what's going on, brother? We got Christy Leesman. Greetings from Ontario, Eastern Ontario, Canada, from Andrew the Celt. Appreciate you joining with me, brother. Apostle Patricia Douglas. What's up, everyone? How is your day going? I'm so glad that many of you guys were able to tune in. Kimmy Sue says that Fanny is a character like her dad. She loves the spotlight. I don't know anything about Fanny Willis's dad. Are you dropping some intel here? I'm gonna have to do some research there. Andrew Selt says the Democratic strategist. Biggest oxymoron I could think of. Dude, that is the win for the day. Good call, homie. But yeah, so I just wanted to drop that quick information, that quick update on you guys. I have a lot more to share. Definitely, if you haven't already, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.